Coming up on Network Africa. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives in New York for the 80th session of the UN General Assembly. Trial begins for former South Sudan's vice president over murder, conspiracy, terrorism, destruction of public property and military assets and crimes against humanity. Plus, Botswana declares public holiday to celebrate its win at the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us on the program. Today I'm Amarachi Ubani. Let's begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
Guineans headed to the polls this Sunday for a constitutional referendum that could reshape the country's political system. The vote took place under the military rule led by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, who seized power in the 2021 coup that ousted President Alpha Conde. The referendum was seen as a chance for unity and peace for 6.2 million eligible voters who were registered to cast a yes or no vote on a new constitution that will extend the presidential term from 5 to 7 years. Renewable wants and create a Senate, 1/3 of which could be directly appointed by the president. However, opposition parties argued that the process lacked consultation and highlight that the junta had earlier banned major political groups from participating. Hundreds of climate activists staged a giant flash mob in Dakar, demanding stronger action against climate change as part of Global Climate Action Week. The campaign was organized by the Senegalese Network to amplify calls for climate justice. According to the coordinator, the campaign seeks to unite voices of various civil society organizations, farmers, and grassroots community organizations to plead for climate justice in the face of climate inaction. The protest also spotlighted plastic pollution as Executive Secretary of the African Workers Network for Just Transition, Marie Thiam, called for change at all levels. The demonstrations come in the lead-up to the COP30 Climate Summit in Brazil from November 10 to the 21st, 2025. A group of pro-Palestine protesters rallied outside American multinational technology company Amazon's headquarters in Cape Town, denouncing what they call the company's complicity in the ongoing genocide, as they called it, in Gaza.
This is genocide! This is genocide! Amazon!
The protesters denounced Amazon's Project Nimbus, a $1.2 billion contract under which Amazon and Google provide cloud computing and artificial intelligence services to the Israeli government and defense establishments. Activists claim that the technology enables military operations that violate human rights. And finally, Kenya made a clean sweep of the Berlin Marathon, with Sebastian Saw winning the men's race and Rosemary Wanjiru triumphing in the women's. Sebastian finished in 2 hours, 2 minutes and 16 seconds to make it 3 wins in his first 3 marathons. The 30-year-old who was victorious at this year's London Marathon set a sizzling pace as he left the field behind and ran much of the race surrounded by his pace setters. In the women's race, Wanjiru sped away from the lead pack before finishing in 2 hours, 21 minutes and 5 seconds.
Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in New York to attend the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The Vice President is representing President Bola Tinubu at the global event. Upon arrival, he was received by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, the Chargé d'Affaires at the Permanent Mission of Nigeria at the United Nations, Ambassador Samson Iteboje, the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Abubakar, and other dignitaries. He was also briefed by the ministers and other presidential aides. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment spoke to reporters about some of the objectives of Nigeria's participation at this year's UNGA.
Nigeria has a UN global convention on taxation that it is championing. It's something that is very central to the ongoing push to reform the global financial architecture. And it's something that has put Nigeria in a position of leadership And you can see that the briefing was for His Excellency the Vice President, and there were ministers present, senior government officials. And the whole idea of having this briefing is so that we will all be on the same page. So going out, engaging, we have to make sure that we promote this. We also promote Nigeria's push to become a member of the United Nations Security Council, permanent member.
And all is to push forward the Renewed Hope agenda, is to push forward the areas that we're focusing on for investment, is to push forward the reforms that the Nigerian economy has experienced in the last 2 years, and to make sure that all the friends of Nigeria in New York for this event are well versed in the position of where we are right now.
Joining us now is our correspondent, Larry Lasisi, who's in New York covering the UNGA for us. Larry, great to see you. The Vice President has received a number of briefings today. In preparation for his participation at the UNGA, he's set to give his address on Wednesday. What is he likely to focus on?
Okay, well, the Vice President, arrived yesterday, that's Sunday, and as you said, immediately was given a briefing by the different ministers, and it was an opportunity for everybody to align positions as they go. As I'm sure you're aware, and you know, outside the UN General Assembly meeting, which the Vice President will be attending, there are various bilateral meetings. There are also a lot of other meetings that will be hosted or attended by the different ministries, the agencies here, and they will be doing all that. For the president, I think part of what we understand, he will be talking for Nigeria, pushing forward Nigeria's position. A lot, the Minister for Foreign Affairs had already highlighted that they had this new, let me try and get how he phrased it, the UN position to outline Nigeria's new nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement. It's something that Nigeria is championing, and it's something that they will be putting forward. But, usually when we speak at this forum, I think that's the line the Vice President will take. We tend to highlight our position to contribute, if it to global peace, world peace, peacekeeping, Nigeria's role in making sure we also help and achieve and contribute to the objectives of the UN. And basically, I think that will be along the line that Nigeria will be pushing as usual. Our position also on the regional, the African sub-region when it comes to ECOWAS and the leadership role we play there and the leadership role we play on the African continent. Basically pushing forward, ready to work, ready to contribute to a world where everybody works together.
Yes, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs also said Nigeria will also be pushing for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council. If you look at the program, the order of appearance for all of the presidents and all of the leaders who will be represented at, who will be speaking at the UN General Assembly at the Great Debate starting tomorrow, Nigeria is last on the list for tomorrow. Just wondering how that could impact on the message the Vice President could be giving to leaders?
Well, I know that from what I understand, that's still not fixed, as in the things that can change. But at that, I think that's the slot, as you know, when it happens, attending president will get president. And so they obviously will get the first bite of the cherry. So the slot we have for now, and I'm told that can change, is that for Wednesday. And just as you noted, it could be a slot that may not have been ideal. But I think the importance is that it's a message. These timings, yes, may not be for the people in the room, but it's a message that will resonate. It's a message that will go out And this is a position of the country. A lot of people want to know where we stand on key issues. So outside those that will be in the room, it does not mean they won't be watching or listening outside the room. So I think it depends on what we're saying, and what we usually say is strong enough that one will want to know, based on our position on the African continent, what it is we want to push at the UN. And as you know, this year's UN is a anniversary position, and coming into it with all that is happening around the world, it once again emphasizes the need for the world to come together and try and resolve some of the things that are happening around the world. The issue in Gaza, the issue in Ukraine, and other issues in other parts of the world.
Right, and the recognition of Palestine as a state will feature prominently at the great debate. It is threatening to overshadow the conversations there. We know it's not a hot topic for many African countries, but what are you gleaning from, the conversations on the corridors and in places that you've been to? What issues would be important for African leaders?
Well, I think the position, part of what the Minister of Foreign Affairs said, is very clear, and I think you mentioned that at the beginning, the issue of the reform of the UN Security Council. Africa has a single position. It's one major point that going to push, from what I understand, at this General Assembly. The need to reform that that Security Council, and more importantly, that true seats should be given to the African continent. And it's something that has been, they've been canvassing for some years now. And I think the agreement for them is basically this is a time to put their foot down and see how far they can go, getting some support on that and getting the changes made.
Well, Larry, I foresee, busy hours ahead for you. Thank you again for making time to be with us on the program today.
Thank you.
We turn to South Sudan now, where former Vice President Riek Machar's trial began today in the capital, Juba. Machar was sacked by his decades-long rival, President Salva Kiir, and charged with murder, treason, and crimes against humanity in relation to rebellion and an attack by a militia linked with ethnic tensions. The former Vice President has been charged alongside 7 other former members of government, including the Petroleum Minister, Port Kang Chol. They were seen sitting inside a barred cage in court today. The trial broadcast live. Machar has been under house arrest at his residence in Juba for months, following investigations by the government of his allies. He was suspended earlier this month by President Kiir. The charges against him stem from alleged involvement in attacks by the White Army against federal forces in March. Well, in Sudan, the UN Human Rights Report says a rise in civilian casualties, growing ethnic violence, and grim humanitarian situation in the country underscores how the crisis is deepening. Between January 1st and June 30, the agency documented the deaths of at least 3,384 civilians in the context of the conflict, mostly in Darfur, followed by Kordofan and Khartoum. But in South Africa, members of the Economic Freedom Fighters have opened a criminal case against Operation Dudula, the controversial political party accused of targeting foreign nationals. All this comes after reports that a child recently died when the mother, a Malawian national, was allegedly denied access to a clinic in Gauteng province. For months now, Operation Dudula has been accused of blocking undocumented foreign nationals from accessing healthcare services in certain parts of the country.
Here today to open a case against the Dudula operation. We're here today to open a case against the leader of Dudula. Why is it important that we open a case against the leader of Dudula? Because she's the one who inspires her own people to do that, to go into clinics, to go and stop health care to be given to our people. And when we say our people, we mean me and you, by the way. Because it could so happen that you are dark-skinned enough for them to say, well, now you are not a South African. They want to take us back to the golden days of apartheid, where we must now carry our passes to prove that we are South African. But that's not the position of the EFF, by the way. Correct. You must be documented, but it doesn't mean that you must travel around with your documentation.
Still ahead on Network Africa. Nigerian teachers attempt a Guinness World Record of their own. Do join us again. Welcome back. It's politics now. Vote counting has been ongoing at some polling stations across Guinea following a referendum over the weekend on a draft constitution that could allow the leader of the country's junta to run for the presidency. The referendum, which is a key step in the country's transition from military to civil rule, is being closely monitored in the coup-battered regions, with critics calling it a power grab. Now, some say it's a way for General Mamadi Doumbouya, who took power by force 4 years ago, to seek the presidency and legitimize his military rule. Many of Guinea's political parties were dissolved last year, and the three main opposition parties were suspended weeks before the referendum, making it impossible for them to organize rallies and to speak to the population. Meanwhile, the world's top cobalt producer, the Democratic Republic of Congo, says it's lifting its export ban from October 16. The country will now control global supply through strict annual export quotas. According to the minerals regulator, for the rest of 2025, miners will be allowed to export up to 18,125 tons of cobalt, a key material in electric vehicle batteries. Annual caps will rise to 96,600 tons for both 2026 and 2027. The ban in place since February, after cobalt prices hit a 9-year low, had triggered force majeure declarations from major producers, including mining giant Glencore. The quota system, backed by Glencore but opposed by CMOC, aims to reduce oversupply, support prices, and tighten market control, especially in the face of rising conflict in eastern Congo, where illegal mining is helping fuel violence by M23 rebels. Congo's artisanal mining sector, largely unregulated, remains a challenge for global traceability and ethical sourcing. Meanwhile, vaccinations have begun in the DRC over the latest outbreak of Ebola. The World Health Organization is helping with the vaccination of healthcare workers, and contacts have received their vaccination. So far, at least 760 doses have been delivered to Bolape, the locality at the center of the outbreak, while another 45,000 doses are expected to arrive soon in Kinshasa to reinforce the campaign. A fresh Ebola outbreak was announced by Congolese authorities on September 5 in the locality of Bolape in Kasai, a south-central region in Congo close to Angola. Last week, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said the disease had spread from 2 districts to 4. An additional batch of vaccines approved by the International Coordinating Group on Vaccine Prevention will start arriving from Friday through to Sunday. The people of Botswana have an impromptu holiday coming up. The country is in a good mood following its victory in the men's 4x400 meters at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, becoming the first African nation to win the event. President Duma Boko has hailed the win as historic for Africa and says Monday next week will be a holiday to celebrate the achievement, just a day ahead of the country's Independence Day. On Sunday, Botswana's team of Lee Bekempilo, Epi, Lesile Tebogo, Bayapa Ndori, and Busang Colin edged out the US, the winners of the last 10 world titles, in a rain-drenched race. South Africa took third position. The Southern African nation finished fifth overall in the championship's medal standings, behind the US, Kenya, the Netherlands, and Canada. Their best ever return after taking 2 golds, 1 silver, and a bronze. Last year, Botswana celebrated another historic milestone as Tebogo won the nation's first Olympic gold medal with his victory in the men's 200 meters in Paris. Well, here in Nigeria, it's amazing what can be achieved when people set their minds to it. Following Hilda Bassey's Guinness World Record for the largest pot of jollof rice, Nigerian teachers decided to attempt a record of their own, the largest gathering of teachers in one place. GWR officials were on hand to witness and vet this epic event.
Over 60,000 teachers across Nigeria are here in Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos for a gathering dubbed Let There Be Teachers Conference 2025.
Running our own program in schools.
This historic gathering makes the largest gathering of educators in the world and a bold attempt at a Guinness World Record aimed to underscore the vital role of teachers as a bedrock of quality education and champions of national development.
We are celebrating teachers not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. So I'm here to be a part of making history, just like we have here. So everyone here, just like myself, we are here to make history. That teachers, we are to be valued, we are to be reckoned with. We are not just in the classroom, but we are the nation builders, we are life molders. So that's why I'm here today.
Many participants also use the occasion to call for greater recognition amongst the challenges they face, like advanced solutions to learning poverty and promote technology-driven teaching.
It's beautiful to see that the government are starting to take teachers seriously, because many teachers are leaving the classroom. That's the sad reality. Most teachers are taking to online tutoring because of the sad incentives, because of the standard of education it's a struggle in the classroom. There are lack of adequate resources. The parents have little or no interest in the education of their children, and there are a lot of problems that are fighting the teachers in the classrooms.
Some of the equipment that teacher needs to educate the students is not available in some schools, and so it has brought a lot of setbacks for the students and the school and the education sector as a whole. But I believe that our government, they will do better with the new curriculum that was just introduced, I think last month or so. So I believe the government is actually looking into it, and they are looking for ways to provide solution to some of the hindrances that the education sector has been experiencing for so long.
Meanwhile, the final count will be verified before Guinness World Records can confirm the attempt was successful.
That history will be made.
You could do whatever you set your mind to. Now, did you know that Namibia's Namib Desert is considered the oldest desert in the world? It's a coastal desert in southern Africa, stretching along the Atlantic coast of Angola, Namibia, and South Africa, formed around 50 to 80 million years ago. Characterized by immense sand dunes, it gets its primary moisture from fog and supports a unique ecosystem with endemic species, including the iconic Welwitschia mirabilis plant. The desert's diverse landscapes, including dunes, coastal plains, and abandoned mining towns like Kolamsop, are popular tourist destinations, offering activities such as hiking, 4x4 tours, and hot air ballooning. Now you know, and that's Network Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.